Kubor nakaslem jong unongsan Hima.
Kekunhon menteri lane kabinet kebalai kendu agala si ublai hapo kejing penia jong menteri rangba ukondot ke sangma kelarai ban Thung na kejing tokit ban khli da unong bishar lade ke judicial inquiry ke ban tokit halor ke jingja ke step jong ke lai tarik unailar arajar arpoi hakaba unong yalam berim jong ke seng HNLC uba cherish starfield Thungkhiw ulakhlat hadir ke jing sya siat hagi pulit ki balalit khenra ya ke yeng sa jong u hamaulai kan ton masar habakran shikilat pathai khubor u konrad uloong ba kanhon menteri klai ther halor ke jinglong jingman akanong ba shilong agini khniat sngi makan thupru ya ke jingpen pathai bom khli riat bat halaim khra haga beidai ba ke jingja bud ba cherish u konrad uloong ba sarkar kalarai ban Thung na judicial inquiry khnang ban lap ik jing shisha baro Nalor kata ulai itu bagi sarkar kelarai ban Thung dengan peace committee kaban khli do sembut menteri rangba ubak preston tensong hakaba andan lang gidkhot nagiliang beper kumshi benta ban wanra biang ya ke shongsuk shongsain.
We had a meeting of the cabinet to discuss the law and order situation, especially in Shillong city and overall the state as a whole. As you are aware, that in the last 24 to 48 hours, there have been instances of violence and law and order situations in different parts of Shillong city. Keeping that aspect in mind, today the cabinet meeting was held. In the cabinet meeting, we discussed about the overall series of incidents that have happened in the last few months, including the different IED blasts that took place in Jingkhang Hills and the IED blast which led to the injury of one lady in Laimukra in Shillong also. We briefed the cabinet on the different aspects of the events that took place in the last 5 days and discussed also about the police operation that took place on 13th early morning. Details were given to the cabinet ministers and the other officials who were there, and based on all those aspects and also based on suggestions that were given by the cabinet ministers, the cabinet has decided to constitute a judicial inquiry under the Commission of Inquiry Act to look into the events that took place on 13th early morning. Apart from this judicial inquiry, the cabinet has also agreed and decided to set up a peace committee which will be chaired by the Honorable Deputy Chief Minister, Shri Preston Tinsong, and Honorable Cabinet Ministers, Shri Hamletson Dolling and Shri Reddington Thung will be members of this committee, and this committee will co-opt other members from civil society, including religious organizations, the local headmen, the Sinjuk Kirambashnong, and all other civil society and members that the committee, headed by Deputy Chief Minister, feels appropriate that should be included in this peace committee. At the same time, keeping in mind the overall situation that is still prevailing in Shillong city, it was also decided that the curfew will continue for the next 24 hours also, which means the curfew has been extended to Wednesday morning 5 a.m. and so will the internet services in terms of the mobile internet data services will also be closed for the next extension again for another 24 hours. Apart from that, of course, there were other areas of discussion relating to law and order that took place, and valuable suggestions came in from the cabinet ministers, and accordingly we have decided that there will be a subcommittee for security and law and order, which will be headed by Chief Minister and Deputy Chief Minister, and Home Minister will also be part of that committee. This committee will also further look into the different aspects of law and order, the future threats that there may be, at the same time look at overall strengthening the overall functioning of the police department as a whole. So these were the few decisions that were taken in the cabinet meeting that took place today. You see, we are here to also realize that there is a law and order situation that was there even before this incident took place. Now, the police have been working very hard in the past also to resolve many of these situations that were there. And in many cases, they have successfully managed to resolve the situation, be it the old cases that happened in Barabazar or the other cases that happened in Ishamati, and many such cases that were there. The police has been very successfully resolving these issues and catching the people who are involved in this. And in the same way, in this case also, the police department and the police officials were working very meticulously day and night to resolve this issue. And in the process, as I mentioned, that the unfortunate incident took place, which was not the intention of either of the people who are part of the operation. But as I said, that to be fair to all, we must allow a judicial inquiry to take place. Let the inquiry report come in, and then accordingly we will make a decision. See, one can look at a particular incident and come to a conclusion. I have no comments to mention about that. But if you, as I said, if you look at the overall work that the police department has done in the last few years to really ensure that there has been overall peace, and at the same time resolving a lot of complicated cases in a very, very short time, one doesn't realize all those aspects. So if you look at the entire cases that came up, the police department was able to resolve most of those issues. And sadly, the public does not give credit to the police when they do their part. Now, when this whole situation was there, we had a very strong intel, as I said. Number one, when the Laimukra blast took place, there was a lot of anger among the people. And people said that, why isn't the police doing anything? And then, of course, when the police moved forward and got a very strong intel that another blast would be taking place and another IED would be placed in another location in Shillong. And if the police had not acted on it and it did happen, then again the public would say that they should have acted on this. What I'm trying to say is that these are all situations and circumstances, and sometimes they don't go as planned that they are. To term this one incident as a failure, I feel is a very, very harsh way of looking at things. There are a lot of things that we do, a lot of situations that have been diverted and averted, and those aspects also need to be considered. And therefore, as I said, this should not have been a situation. There would have been a situation where the arrest would have been made, but unfortunately it led to other circumstances. And therefore, in order to ensure that all the facts and the truths come out, we have asked for a judicial inquiry. We realize the inconvenience that is being caused to the students, and we realize that this will affect them over the next few days. But the overall law and order situation is of priority, and therefore, though they will be having some concerns and some difficulties that they may face, which is really something that is unavoidable at this point in time. But keeping the law and order situation in mind, the priority of the government will always be to maintain the law and order situation. Decided that along with the Deputy Commissioner along with the local representatives, that is the MLA and the MDC both, and other leaders from there. But there means from Maulai area and adjoining areas where the slight tension is there. That all of them will discuss and see how to move this forward. So therefore, presence of security is also necessary. It's something that we can't just simply take away, because the confidence of the public also has to be there. So therefore, looking at the situation and after discussing with local leaders, after discussing with the public there, we will see, the Deputy Commissioner will see, and of course the Home Department also will be involved in it. We will see how to manage this and ensure that the balance is struck between the overall tension that is out there and the concerns of the citizens or the residents that CRPF is always there and creates tension. But at the same time ensure that the presence of the armed forces also is felt. That will also make sure that the confidence is there for the people. As I've said, that departments do work. They have been given a mandate to work on a certain way. And many operations take place, many. And in these operations, these are very technically complex operations. And sometimes things don't really turn out the way they are planned. And it's not always, and it's always like that, where situations are not come out as planned. They have to, they have to improvise in the situation, this particular situation. At the same time, there are many such operations that take place at different levels. So it's not always that that there is a full communication in all the aspects that are there. But obviously, the head of the department is always involved in the procedure, which is the DGP, and accordingly they take decisions and move forward. And in that particular operation, as we said, that it did not go as planned, in the sense that there was no intention of harming anybody. And it was clearly a very unfortunate incident. I've already mentioned that before. And therefore, because it did not go as planned, that that the person was to be arrested and brought in, which would have been very, very beneficial for the department's inquiry that they were doing. So from all angles, it was beneficial, but it didn't go as per plan. So therefore, as I said, that it's not always that every single step or move is always informed to the top level, but the DGP and the other senior officials, the heads of the departments, are always involved in all of them. And right now we are, of course, concerned about this in this case, because a person lost his life. So therefore, yes, it is an unfortunate incident, and therefore to ensure that everything, all facts come out clearly, the cabinet has decided that judicial inquiry will be set up. So we will wait for the inquiry and see how the report comes. That we have asked for a judicial inquiry to be put up, and this inquiry will look into all the aspects of the case, and it will look into the roles that are played by every single individual. So when a judicial inquiry is put in, it is very, very independent and a very powerful inquiry committee in nature. So therefore, whatever action needs to be taken, we will decide once the judicial inquiry sequence is over. We are just waiting for confirmation from the concerned individuals who we have identified, and looking at all the options that are there. And based on that, as soon as we got the confirmation, so even if the confirmation, say suppose, comes as early as today, then it will be instituted today itself. If it comes tomorrow, it will be instituted tomorrow. But as I said, the decision has been made that the inquiry will be. Now it's only an administrative procedure that is left, where we require the consent of the concerned individuals to be part of this committee. Once the consent is come in, it will be immediately notified.